Hi, my friends, Lee Bricky here. And today I'm bringing on my good friend, Brent Starks from Unitas Lending. And Brent and I are going to discuss with you this lawsuit and changes that just happened with the National Association of Realtors and what it means for you as a seller, what it means for you as a buyer, what it means for the industry as a whole and agents, and then also what it means for the mortgage industry, because things have changed on that side too. But you may have seen a lot of videos on this already, but we're going to make it super simple. Basically, I'm going to have the same conversation with you that I have with my clients and have had with my clients, and also by folks like you reaching out to me with comments and questions and emails. So don't go anywhere, and I'm going to bring on Brent in just a second. But before I do, on this channel, we cover everything luxury real estate from Palm Beach County to the Treasure Coast. And also we cover real estate news and anything going on in the housing market that is relevant to you. So if any of that interests you, you're going to want to subscribe. So go ahead and slap that subscribe button, ring that notification bell so you don't miss any of our real estate tips and tours. And now let's talk to Brent. Brent, I want to talk to you about this NAR situation, National Association of Realtors, and get your opinion on this, because I've seen all of these. I've been doing all of these trainings and learning all about it, and my clients are all asking about it. And also I get comments and questions and emails from pretty much everyone, the folks on our YouTube family. So let's break this down for them real quick and let them understand how this is working, because I know you agree with this, and pretty much all agents that have been doing this for a while, I mean, me 15 years, are not notice that this isn't going to change anything. In some ways, there's a couple of things that'll make it better. So let's talk about that a little bit. So just to make this very simple, and you know this because you work with tons of realtors, and nothing has changed. The only thing that has changed is that they have removed the commissions off of the MLS for the seller and the buyer. That's it. And they've created paperwork around that. So when you get with an agent now, what you have to do is sign a showing agreement with them so that they can show you property. And then eventually that turns into a commission agreement. And then there's another, some paperwork that goes back and forth between the buyer's agent and the seller's agent. That's it. The seller can still offer a commission. The seller cannot offer a commission. The buyer can pay their own commission, and you'll talk a little bit about that with the financing. And then the buyer can opt out of seeing any homes that aren't offering a commission. And basically, it just creates a little bit more work for us, which is absolutely okay, because now the seller's agent has to communicate with the buyer's agent before the buyer's agent shows that property, so that they can find out what the commission is. And basically there's an agreement between the buyer's agent and the seller's agent, and the seller's agent is supposed to send that agreement to the buyer's agent from the seller and the seller's agent, saying what commission they're offering before the property gets shown. So the good thing,
I think, a really good point, Lee. I think adding paperwork, I never heard it described that way, but that's exactly what it is. Everything stays.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
And there is actually a benefit to this, man, because you know me, and I will not show a property that I cannot speak with the seller's agent. Won't do it, because that's the way I do business. I try not to do business with people that don't do business the way I do, because I have a certain amount of ethics, and I believe that it's absolutely unethical not to speak with the buyer's agent if you're holding a listing before they go, because I want to speak with the buyer's agent. I want to tell them what's going on. If we have any offers pending, special things about the house that we're going to show them. Especially these listing agents that don't put up they just put up a lockbox and never show up, right?
Right.
I mean, I say it to you all the time. You hear me say it to clients, a lockbox never sold a house. And so if they're, I hear it all the time. I don't want to work with buyers. I just want to work with sellers. You know why they just want to work with sellers, Brent? Is because they don't have to do anything. They throw a lockbox on the house, earn their commission, and go home. Right? I mean, that's it. I mean, and so we don't do business that way. We don't. Now, if it's a rental or the house is empty, then I might put a lockbox on it. But if it's a investment property, I may put a lockbox on it. In most cases, we do. But if I have a seller that's living there, number one, who wants someone walking through your home without an agent that and trust walking with them? Two,
it's not pre-approved. That no ability to buy.
You don't know anything about that buyer's agent nor their buyer, right? Because you haven't talked to them. All you did was put it up on showing time. They clicked on showing time. You approved the showing time, and then they go out and they go do the lockbox and then go show the house. And especially agents that don't know anything about that community. One of the things, because of the YouTube site, I know pretty much every community from Palm Beach, all Palm Beach County, all the way to the Treasure Coast. So Martin County, Port St. Lucie, Fort Pierce. I mean, we've done, I've done tons of rehabs and flips, and then we've shown all of these communities. So, and we also go and highlight them on the YouTube channel. So if an agent doesn't know the community, doesn't know the house, how are they going to properly sell that home to their buyer without the seller's agent at least communicating with them on the phone? And in our case, we go there, turn all the lights on, open all the blinds, put a candle on, make the house smell wonderful. If we do open house, we always cook cookies and walk in. You have to smell the fresh cookies, and people can get a cookie and water. We do things differently because we want to provide the service to the seller that we would provide in our own home if we were trying to sell our own home. So I think that is the one good thing, because no one should be showing property without email, a text message, or speaking to the seller's agent. And in my case, I tell my clients straight up right on the beginning, if I can't get a hold of the seller's agent and find out before we see the house, we're not seeing the house until they call us. Because if the seller's agent doesn't have the professionalism to return a phone call or answer a text, or answer a phone call, then they're going to be really difficult to work with, getting a deal done. So that's the first thing. So I think that part of it is good. I think it's going to thin out some agents here. The second part of it is, why was this brought? It was brought because of collusion. You have an ambulance chaser, never did a real estate deal in his life, and the DOJ, the federal government, getting involved in real estate because they want to lower the price of homes, right? There's still lawsuits pending, stuff going to the Supreme Court of real estate companies and the National Association of Realtors that has settled on this thing. And the folks that were involved in the lawsuit, who were supposedly taken advantage of because of commissions, they got less than $20 each.
Right.
So again, lawyers get
right. Where'd the money go?
DOJ says, "Oh, look, we're protecting the consumer," and then here we are with some paperwork and nothing changing. So right. I mean,
we're the good guys. We're government here to save the day.
Right. So the reason, so it couldn't be that real estate prices have gotten so high because we left rates at 2% to 3.5% for so long. That couldn't be the reason.
That's the
that created the affordability issue. Then mortgage rates went up because of inflation, and now you can't afford to buy a home. So that's the second part of this, right? Now this lawsuit basically is saying that sellers shouldn't pay a commission, and buyers should pay their own commission, and that will help bring the price of the home down. First of all, if you own a home, when's the last time you're going to sell your home for less than it's worth?
Never.
Okay. Two, that's why there is, and two, I don't understand the collusion thing, because you could sell your home through Zillow without an agent, Redfin without an agent, a flat fee broker for $500 or $600, and they put it on the MLS, and you show agents that you're offering a commission, right? Or you can put it as a for sale by owner completely and put it on and put it up and sell it yourself.
It's always been a free market.
It's always been a free market, right? And then, you know, if you look at the MLS over the years, commissions have changed. I mean, I could pull, before they took all the commissions off, I could easily pull up and see 1.5%, 1%, 2.5%, 3% on the seller and the buyer side. So, and in some agents, which I don't do this either, will charge 5% total, right? And only give 2% of that 5% to the buyer's agent, which again, I think is totally unethical and I would never do. And I think it hurts your buyer, your seller, because you're literally taking advantage of your seller in their commissions. Also, and I know realtors might get really mad at me, but I don't, you know, if you were into fixed real estate, stop the single agent situation where I can be on both sides of the deal. We call it a transaction broker here in Florida, but I'm very uncomfortable on both sides of the deal. And so if I have a buyer call me up directly, I usually refer that out to another agent and let them go ahead and work the buyer's side. And so I can work the seller side, and that way I can best talk to my seller and they can talk to the buyer, because the last thing I want to get into is talking to a buyer or talking to a seller, figuring on which side. So, and it's just,
it's a dual agency problem. It's a dual agency problem. Who's your fiduciary responsibility to? The lines get blurred.
And when you talk to agents, they're like, oh, well, you know, your fiduciary is to be a middleman. No, it never works that way. Your seller wants you to try to get as much money for that house as they can. And every buyer wants to try to get the best deal they can. And sometimes, and a lot of times right now, they need seller concessions. So, and with real estate, and that's why real estate right now is all selling for less money, because a lot of people right now in the market are first-time buyers and they're getting seller concessions. And you know that because you've seen me do hundreds and hundreds of seller concessions.
Right. And I'll tell you what, and that's a really important point you just brought up too. You know, the lending world, you know, speaking from that perspective, has already adjusted to this NAR settlement, because we know, and the lending industry knows and understands that the largest barrier to home ownership, frankly, is the down payment and closing costs. So, well, this NAR settlement technically, you know, shifted that fee, if you will, onto the buyer, where, you know, historically that's been split and paid by the seller's proceeds. And so that's always, you know, kind of been the negotiation and adjustment there.
Right. But here's the thing that people need to understand. Sellers need to understand this. They can't sell their house for more than it's worth.
Right.
So if the buyer's getting their buyer's agent commission through their loan, right, their mortgage, that still is affecting the seller, because the bank is not giving any more money to to buy that house to the buyer than it's appraising for. Am I correct on that?
That's exactly right, Lee. And there's already been
the same thing, right? We're still in the same boat.
100%. And it's really important to understand this too, because the seller concessions are limited, right? FHA has a limit of 6%. VA has a seller concession of 4% of the purchase price. So let's say you have a $500,000 VA loan, the maximum seller concession is $20,000. That's 4% of the purchase price. So the VA, FHA, conventional Fannie, Freddie, all of them have basically said, hey, this isn't how this is normally done. We understand the realities of the marketplace, and this will totally shut down buyers. But, people won't be able to buy homes. If they, the whole idea of a VA loan is a 0% down thing, that now you're hitting them with the 3% upfront fee, right? That's, outside of what's
and
normal.
By the way, it's very rare to be 3%.
Right.
We charge 5% to give 2.5% to both sides. Our cut is 2.5%. The buyer's agent cut is 2.5%. So
it's exactly right. And that's so, and that's outside of that standard, by the way. So let's say the maximum concession on conventional with less than 10% down is 3%. That seller concession, that's towards closing costs, let's say. So that any seller concession of additional 2% towards a closing cost, that type of thing, is not within that 3%. So it's not included in that 3%. So it's just business as usual, because they had to step in quickly and say, hey, you know what? We understand that's how the commissions are paid and all that good stuff, and we understand that's a barrier to entry into the housing market. And so that's the last thing they want to have happen. So those adjustments were made over several weeks when this first came out, August 17th. And so we're seeing that already play out in the lending industry. So it's not holding back buyers from purchasing homes.
Right. And then on that topic of where if the seller's not offering a commission to the buyer's agent and the buyer has to pay that commission, a lot of these people are just right on the edge because of rates and housing prices to where they can actually afford the house. They can't, in the last, I guess, year and a half, right? With all these incentives from builders, I can't even tell you how many people I've suggested go with new construction just for the fact that they have these big incentives and they're paying all the closing costs. And some of these incentives are so big, they can pay the closing costs, buy the rate down, and put money to the house where they're buying down the price of the house. All they have to do is come up with their, 3.5%, 5%, or 10%. So how, it's going to hurt. And so I'll put the article up, but Washington State, their Northwestern MLS, they opted out of this whole deal with NAR. Completely. And then their reasoning was exactly what I said, that they believe two things will happen here. Number one, it's going to cause backroom conversations between brokers. And then it's also going to hurt first-time buyers, especially, and low-income buyers, because they can't pay the commission. So it's just ridiculous. And so they're saying, we're not doing it. And, more than likely the DOJ is going to sue them, and more than likely that's going to go to the Supreme Court. And we're going to find out what this is. This is not over, and it's not going to be over for a while. And then the DOJ also is opening the case back up, and NAR is in a battle with that one too. So with that being said, let me give you just one more opinion here, and let everybody know, what my thoughts behind this are, because we're still selling houses and we're still, the sellers are still paying commission to the buyer's agent. So, so let me just kind of break this down. This is 15 years of real estate for me. And I feel like Lisa and I have a very ethical business, and we only bring on ethical people like Steve, and a couple of other agents we have that we know that are going to do business the way we want to do business. And the way we do business is we do business as, and I tell my clients all the time, if you're my aunt, uncle, father, mother, son, daughter, that's how I'm going to treat you. I'm going to give you the same advice that I would give them. Because right now I got 7 listings I can take, but I can't sell them for the money that they need to get out of them, because the market is shaken out a little bit and people aren't buying, and it's just going to sit on the market. And a lot of these people bought these homes 2 or 3 years ago, and they want to, change in communities or upgrade the house or whatever, get a bigger home or a smaller home, whatever the case may be. And they just, even in the last 5 years, and they just can't get what they paid for the house or get any equity out of it right now. So, you know, I give them the straight up, and then they make a decision if they want to list or not. And, you know, right now I have a couple of listings and they've been sitting for a long time. And then we just had one sell that was, you know, 3 showings, which would have been gone in 3 days over 3 months. And we sold it, and she moved into a new house, which was a miracle in my opinion. But let me just give everybody this. Number one, if you are a seller and you do not want to pay a buyer's agent, don't list your house. Doesn't do you any good. Zillow and Redfin, I'm just going to be honest with everyone. Those sites go everywhere. And if they pick it up, the other sites out there are going to pick it up, real estate sites, because that's how they make money. So, but if you're trying to sell your home and you don't want to pay a buyer's agent commission, don't listen to a listing agent, because it doesn't make any sense. And I can prove that by this. I think it's 86%. And I'll put the numbers up on the screen when I'm done, but it's right around 86% of all transactions in the US are between 2 agents in real estate. Right. 2 agents, right. Buyer's agent and a seller's agent. And that number has actually gone up as technology has increased, because it has become harder and harder for buyers to navigate the market, and sellers knowing how to market their house, you know, what to do with it. Video is a big deal now. Getting all the pictures done correct, staging the house correctly, all of these things, and then the paperwork, and then the negotiations has become harder. And so if you're not going to pay a buyer's agent, don't let a listing agent talk you into it. In my opinion, I don't care if people like it or not, what I'm saying, because I would not take that listing. I would tell them, go list your house for sell by owner, or go list your house with because if it didn't work, right? If it didn't work to list your house and offer a commission to a buyer's agent, there would not be flat fee brokerages. They wouldn't exist. And these flat fee brokerages, I have a buddy that owns one. They're very successful, right? Because people that don't just want to list their house on their own and do all the pictures and video and all that kind of stuff and staging, they feel like they can do it. A lot of people that have sold 5 or 6, 7 homes in their lives feel like, hey, you know what? I did this. But they want to offer that commission, because when you put your home on the MLS, it goes everywhere. And then offering a commission to a buyer's agent gets them to bring their buyer to your house. Right. So, but I believe that, you know, especially us in our team, and then I know a whole bunch of other agents just like us, we work very hard and we spend a lot of money marketing the home for the seller. So if you're a seller, you don't want to pay a commission, hey, there's plenty of places for you to list your home without having to pay 2.5%, 3%. And some of these listing agents are going to sit down and say, well, I want 5% because I'm doing all the work. But right. it doesn't give you the same juice. And that's why listing your home with an agent and offering a buyer's agent commission has always given people a larger, they sell their house for more money than a for sale by owner. And these are all facts. Okay? So that's the first thing. The second thing is, on the buyer's side, you have an option too. You can sit down with your agent, sign your showing agreement with them, talk about what the commission is. And if you say to that buyer's agent, hey, look, I don't want to pay any commission to you, then that agent then can just disregard all of the homes that are not offering a commission to the buyer's agent. And so you're told, you know, everybody's still in control of everything the way they used to be. I mean, nothing has changed. So folks, this is just more paperwork. If anything, it's going to make sellers agents do a better job. Buyers agents do a better job. And, you know, don't be afraid of the paperwork. But I would say, if you're going to list your house or you're going to look for a buyer's agent, right now, you definitely want to find somebody who's been in the business for a long while or has a team and they are running their team. And so that team member has experienced agents to go talk to help them get through the transaction, which is perfectly fine. If you have someone, new agent, you like them, and they're on a team or they're working with another agent that's experienced, then that's totally a great place to go. But this is going to be a little bit of a learning process for everybody. I mean, I've listened to every single training I can, but I just wanted to put that out there for everyone.
It's a big transaction too. I think it's on a point that you need this largest transaction most people make in their lives is a purchase of a home. And so I think, having expert advice and going through the transaction, because I have dealt with transactions, Lee, where, there was no realtor involved and they're depending on me to to be the attorney, and to be the realtor on both sides.
You can. If you're doing a real estate transaction on your own, you definitely need to get a real estate attorney involved, I believe, because one simple thing like not having a seller's disclosure could set you up for a lawsuit.
Right.
For example, you have a seller's disclosure and you had a leaky window, right? And you didn't put that on the seller's disclosure, and then that window starts leaking again. You could end up in court, right? The seller's disclosure protects the seller and protects the seller's agent, but mostly protects the seller. So seller's disclosures are very important. And I cannot tell you how many times I have handed a seller's disclosure on these, flat fee real estate companies and on a FSBO situation. So seller's disclosure in the FSBO situations, usually, we're gonna buy the house, rent it, or flip it. So, but I always want a seller's disclosure. So that's it. So you don't want to go in too far with this, but I hope everyone gets something out of it. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section on this. But the reality of it, nothing's changing. Real estate industry is going to start and keep moving forward. They're just the conversations change between the seller and the seller's agent and the buyer's agent and the seller's agent and then the buyer and the buyer's agent. That's it. And it's changed with
the financing side. It's thrown into the concessions just like it always was, and where the seller's paying for it too. If that's
and no matter which way. And one more thing I'll add: if you're moving from one house to the other, right? And let's say you don't want to pay a buyer's agent and you sell your house, and you want a real estate agent to help you navigate the market that you're moving to, right? And you want a buyer's agent, then you'd pay a buyer's agent. So nothing changes. Nothing changes. And the commission's always been negotiable with the seller. Always been negotiable. Been negotiable with the buyer's agent, because I can't tell you, there's been a few times where we're just to put a deal together. I'm sitting talking with the seller's agent, or the buyer's agent's talking with me. And we're like, hey, listen, if we drop our commission to 2% a piece instead of 2.5%, that 1% will get this deal done. And because the seller's at the bottom and the buyer's at the top. So it's got to work out. So, I mean, it's always been a negotiation, and sellers want to sell homes and buyers want to buy homes, and we're the facilitators. So that's all. Go ahead.
Well, I'll tell you one more thing. I'm sorry, but just so put everyone's mind at ease. The commercial real estate business has always been this way. I sold,
absolutely,
in the late '80s and early '90s, before I started the lending industry in the mid '90s. And so it's always been done that way, and it's not as emotional. So it's like, the sellers, if you're buying and selling an office building or, a shopping center, everyone understands people are going to buy what the market is, and they're going to sell it what the market is. And we know everyone needs to have these services completed, and like, okay, what's the best way to set this all up? So it's basically getting it all down in paper, like you say, the additional paperwork, which the government's awesome at doing, is to make, the purchase contracts, just so everyone knows, used to be 2 pages long. You could buy a shopping center with 2 pages. And so now, obviously, I don't know how many pages is now, Lee, 16, something like that.
Oh yeah.
So it's changed. And so to navigate all that, it's, you need a professional, and nothing's changed. I think that's the bottom line of all this.
Right. And so it's really nothing to worry about. And when you sit down with your buyer's agent or with your seller's agent, they should they should know what they're talking about. They should have been through multiple trainings, And
Right.
if they don't know what they're talking about, then you need to find another agent, just
Right.
because the paperwork is important. So we'll kind of leave it there. Everything we talk about today, folks, we're going to leave these articles in the information section below. So you can go listen, like the Washington State article and the article on the actual lawsuit and things like that. We're going to go leave all that stuff for you. So you can take a look at it, and then also everything else we talk about. So, hey, Brent, thanks for joining me on this today. I think it's really valuable information, just kind of letting people know what's going on out there. And if you're buying or selling, I hope that this helps you understand it, because a lot of these videos and trainings have been, in my opinion, kind of overwhelming and hard to understand. But the long and short of it, again, we'll say nothing's changing. It's all the same. There's some decisions to be made now, though. There's conversations that have to happen. There's paperwork that needs to be signed. But all in all, we're moving in real estate the exact way that we used to. Do you agree?
Nothing really has changed. That's right. I think the main point is it's additional paperwork, and it's probably, like you say, there's some good things that came out of it, which is great, and there's some more clarity that way. But basically, like you say, this is a way commercial's been run for years, and I think it's always run smoothly. So I don't see anything changing that way.
Right. Well, great. Thanks for joining me today, and we're going to see you next week in another video. And have a great day, brother. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate you, Lee. Thank you so much.
So I hope you liked the video. If you did, go ahead and like the video for me. I really appreciate it. Give me a thumbs up. It lets me know I'm creating the right kind of content, and I really appreciate the thumbs up. Also, if you have any comments or questions of anything Brent and I said, you can leave that in the comment section below. And we always answer your comments and questions and enjoy getting them. And then also, if you have any questions for Brent, I leave his information down there in the comments. Also, you can reach out to him. And then if you have not yet subscribed to our channel, go ahead and slap that subscribe button right there. Ring that notification bell so you don't miss any of our real estate tips and tours. You can watch the next video right there. Be kind to each other. Really be kind to each other. It's tough out here right now for everyone. So be kind to each other, and I'll see you in the next video.